Hey y'all, I'm Courtney.
And I'm Sarah.
And this is Bodice Tipplers,
the podcast where we read all the books we used to steal off our grandmother's nightstands.
And then we drink about it.
Welcome to Bodice Tipplers. Obviously, I'm Courtney and Sarah. And
well, welcome back to Bodice Tipplers.
Yes.
We have a special guest today. This was our last special guest, our first remote special guest.
Yes.
Our last special guest of the before time. The last time we really recorded together last spring, we had Martha on to promo her book, her first book, To Have and to Hoax, and now we've been doing this for so long that we have her back again.
Martha Waters is back with her second novel, To Love and to Loathe, and it's kind of fun when they were like, I was like, yeah, we got to talk to Martha again because we
knew her back when?
Yeah, before she was a big time author.
Back when I was still living a normal life and I went places.
Mm-hmm. So, yes, back when you got to wear real pants and
got to wear real pants. Okay, that is one benefit of this thing, and I have found it very difficult to wear hard pants again.
So I have been off the pants train for years, and I'm really glad the rest of the world is catching up. I started wearing dresses 9 days out of 10, probably when I was 23, and I have not gone back. So I've just been continuing my normal way of life. And I'm like, yes, everyone, pants are bad. I'm glad you know.
Trailblazer, Martha Waters. Okay, so this book is the second in the series. We've met our main characters in the first book, into Having to Hoax, Diana and Jeremy, and they famously hated each other in the first book. So this is a very much kind of friends to or enemies to lovers book. And I think what I really
get frenemies to lovers.
Yeah.
It's more like they love to hate each other. They just like to argue. So yeah, I've been calling it frenemies to lovers. And I asked my editor if we could put that on the back cover. And she was like, no. She's like, I love that. You're welcome to keep saying it. It's not actually going on the book.
You're like, I'm the pantsless trailblazer.
Right? Listen to me, please.
So what I really liked, what is hilarious to me about this one is Jeremy's a little bit of a sex idiot. He's kind of the guy that's ladies. And essentially what kicks all of this off is he gets a bad review from one of his consorts, and he's it just shakes his foundation. He's like, I don't know what to do. And so he goes and has a proposal for Diana, basically to become his sex friend, friends with, frenemies with benefits.
Exactly.
And, because she's got that little bit of a reputation that's much overblown. And he, the way that he even kind of does it, he's like, yeah, you're kind of loose. You want to get on this. So,
hey, slutbag.
Just how any man should woo any woman.
Yes.
100% successful.
He is such a himbo.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, how did you find writing this one versus the first one? Was it kind of, I've always wondered when people do, these series, are there any characters that you're kind of okay, I can't wait to do their story. They're the ones that I'm really kind of looking, that you're excited about.
Yeah, I would say Diana and Jeremy were those characters for me. I'm excited. I love all of my characters, and I think it's kind of obvious, and I've been sort of laying breadcrumbs for future books for various characters. But Diana and Jeremy, just when I was writing To Have and to Hoax, the first book, every time they were on page, I felt like they kind of stole whatever scene they were in, and I was like, no, stop. You're not the main characters in this book. Go away. So I was really, as soon as I finished writing that one, I was like, I have to write a book for Diana and Jeremy. And it's interesting because I actually wrote the very, very roughest first draft of this one when I was still on submission for To Have and to Hoax. I wrote it pretty fast in a couple months. So I wrote it before To Have and to Hoax had even sold to a publisher yet. And so the whole time I was writing it, I was like, wow, well, this might be a huge waste of time because if the first one doesn't sell, then no one's going to buy a second one. But I actually finished that super zero draft of it the day after To Have and to Hoax sold. So I was like, all right, I wrote the entire manuscript and I got a book deal for the first one literally yesterday. So I'm going to finish this one. But then I I'm a queen of like rewriting. So I like rewrote it like 2 times over the course of a year. So that is very different than that original draft. But yeah, it was, I love them. They're so fun to write. The whole book was just like, picture me sitting like on my couch, like a weird troll, like under a blanket fort, just like typing away, cackling to myself. Cause I love writing banter, and all they want to do is banter and bicker with each other. So it was a total delight to get to write an entire book of that with them.
Yeah, they're very cute. And I think, they're kind of always like, that was a good one. You know, it's kind of like who has the best bird of the, interaction.
Yeah.
So what's like the inside baseball, if you can tell us on that? Because I'm sure as a first-time author, very few first-time authors get automatically like the 3-book deal. Yeah. Right. So I mean, like, you sell the 1 book, like, and like, do you then say, hey, guess what? I've got another one on the way, or do they give you the option for a series? Or
yeah. So it's kind of, I mean, it varies a lot. I mean, like, there are like some authors who get like 3-book deals right out the gate. Some it varies a lot. Like, certain publishers, I think, are more inclined to do that as well. I see a lot of 2-book deals these days for debuts. But To Have and to Hoax was a 1-book deal, and I had like already had a complete rough draft of the book 2. So I kind of like set it aside for a while. I did all my revisions on To Have and to Hoax, and then like the fall before To Have and to Hoax came out, I did a bunch more rewriting on To Love and to Loathe. And so around New Year's of last year, so like January 2020, before To Have and to Hoax even came out, we sent my editor the first few chapters of To Love and to Loathe and like a synopsis of it. And she bought that one. And that was, again, a 1-book deal. So I am not at liberty at this moment to confirm anything past To Love and to Loathe, but
I really like. I'm hoping. I'm rooting.
I am very hopeful that I'll be able to say more about what's next for me very soon. So it is hard because it's like you want each book to stand alone, and since I've been doing them as 1-book deals, I have been trying to lay groundwork for potential future books without having a 100% guarantee that there will be any future books. So I don't want to lay so much groundwork that then readers are like, oh, but like what? Like
I'll never know.
Now that poor character is in like a really rough situation with no resolution to it. So it's been a sort of delicate balancing act. So that's been fun. But it's been a fun challenge. And I've always promised people, the one I get asked about a lot is, because I originally envisioned 3 books in this series. But after I wrote To Have and to Hoax, I got asked a lot about West and Sophie, who were my characters in that one, who I really didn't intend to,
I thought you did. I kind of.
So did everyone. So I don't know. I have an idea for them.
The tragic ones. Come on.
Yeah. I think that's part of the thing is that I like to write funny, so I'm a little intimidated by them because it would be kind of a like more serious kind of emotional story. I do have an idea for them. I've been telling everyone at the very least I will write like I have to just like a novella or like a short story for them or something. But we'll see. I do have a sort of an idea, so we'll see what the future holds for poor tragic West.
Well, I think it really speaks to like, the ability like to do world building and that you get people so invested in these characters, so that's how
I think it's just because I find writing side characters in a lot of ways. Like I always say whichever characters are not the main characters in the book I'm currently writing are my favorite characters because it's so much more fun to write the side characters because you don't have to dig as deep into their emotional lives because you can just kind of have them come in and like either function as audience stand-ins for kind of like asking questions. Like I'm having to hope I use the side characters a lot as like reader stand-ins being like, what are you doing to Violet and James? And in To Love and to Loathe, I kind of use all the side characters as just sort of like, what is happening here? Observers.
You gave us an old aunt. I love an old aunt. So
I wish that I was actually related to her. Like
it's pretty fantastic. And I did enjoy, there's a part where basically, Diana's when Jeremy comes to see her, she's just so done with her friends at this point because she's like, it's just she's just gotten done with dealing with, our maids from To Heaven to Hope. She's like, I've got people pretending to have consumption. Now I've got you in here having some kind of like crisis about your sex life. So I really like her character. She's very just like, doesn't have time for nonsense.
She's definitely very no nonsense and blunt. And I love her. I think she's the most like me of any character. I mean, like all my characters are a little bit like me, but a little bit not like me also. I would say she's the one who's the most explicitly like me of anyone I've written. So I sometimes just let her say the things that I want to say. So I just want to be her.
So do you feel like, again, your first book came out right when all this started, all the COVID stuff, and, now we've got the second one. Has it really hit you like, oh, I've published books and things, because you don't get to do all the I'm an author things, like.
I've actually only ever seen it in stores one time.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I didn't see it in stores at all because all the bookstores were like actually fully closed when it came out, which is horrendous. So I didn't actually see it in stores at all for like 3 months. And then I went to Barnes & Noble on my way to go do something else. I didn't even have time to like go and like actually sign them. I was literally on the way to an appointment and I was like driving past Barnes & Noble and I was like, I'm just going to run inside really fast. It's going to be really depressing. They don't actually have it. I like had this like mild panic as I was walking in. They did have it, fortunately. So I like saw it and I was like, aha. Here's my book on the shelf in a Barnes & Noble. This is exciting. Oh, I have to go. I was supposed to be somewhere like 5 minutes ago. Then I like ran out again like a weirdo. And that is the only time I have seen it in a store. Entire 11 months that it has been published. So in some ways it like doesn't really feel real. On the other hand, I was saying to an author friend of mine recently, the nice thing about this has been like, getting to do virtual events is kind of a nice way to ease into book events because I was already like in the before times I was already starting to get nervous about like my launch, which like all my family and friends were like flying in from out of state for, and I'm like, oh god. And then I was invited to be on a panel at the LA Times Festival of Books, which obviously ended up being canceled, but I was already getting really like months in advance, I was getting nervous about that. So I'm like, well, doing all these virtual events with like authors I really admire and stuff has kind of been a good way to sort of like wade into the pool. So that's been one good thing, I guess. And it's cool to get to like do events with people I wouldn't have been able to do them with in person. So
that is, and there's no like 6-hour signing over Zoom. Like that's not that's not going to be a thing. Yeah.
Right. I do get to actually go. I haven't actually I like did book plates last time for my local indie. Kind of like as a last minute, like, oh shoot, I guess I should just sign some and drop them off your truck. But like this time, I don't know, everything's gonna be better this time around because I get to like go sign all the stock they have ahead of like launch, and I'm doing some book plates for some other indie bookstores as well. So I don't know, I feel for my fellow late March, early April releases last year because the whole having to pivot away with like 2 weeks notice from in-person to virtual was just a hot mess. Everyone did the absolute best like job with the circumstances they could, but I would not wish that experience on anyone, honestly.
Yeah. No.
I think what we could do too, because the book comes out April 6th, we could have asked people to like if they're out and about, take pictures of it.
Yeah, so you can see a book in a store.
Exactly. So that would be a nice.
Yeah, I get really excited. I still get excited. People still send me pictures when they see it's done a lot of like Bridgerton displays and stuff ever since it came out. So people send me pictures when they see it on displays, and I'm like, yes.
Because we had talked about Bridgerton.
We did.
That had been set to come out. So yeah, you got that little like. I would imagine
it really
well with the displays.
Was like a godsend. Like honestly, it was on so many lists around Christmas, and I'm like, well, it's really quite a journey to go from your book's coming out to, oh wait, my book is coming out 3 weeks into lockdown and an unprecedented global health emergency to 9 months later, a Netflix adaptation of a 20-year-old book causes unprecedented interest in your genre. All of us, like, it's been such a weird set of like circumstances, basically.
Well, that dude is fine.
No kidding. No kidding.
I didn't really get into the show, honestly, and all the white dudes were like the same dude, but
They take up a lot of life.
I know they're gonna have to like haircut them or something because like you got a lot of
Or tag them like puppies, like with different color collars or something. But like, yeah, the Duke, all right.
They're supposed to be related. I'm like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, wow. Like, how did you find these three white men that look so much? Like, they look like the same person.
They do. It's like what Anthony's got the floppier of the hair. Like that's
He's
the
got the
one.
really intense sideburns.
Yeah. He's got those super sideburns. My beagle has now come up and is making beagle noises. So, but yeah, I'm very, I don't know. I thought it was, I know that it had there's a lot of conversation about it. But I think it's also awesome what it's done for the genre and allowing other books that aren't the Julia Quinn books to kind of get some features too. So that's kind of nice to be like, oh, hey, my book, like, here's my book next to the Julia Quinn books, like that's kind of crazy to think like we're in the same display. So,
yeah.
And it stands out well. It's got that really bright purple color. So,
yes,
If you have a good face on display.
They just redid the cover. They redid it for the ebooks first to match the cover for To Love and to Loathe. But they actually just reprinted Hoax as well. So I'm hopefully getting copies of the reprinted version sent to me soon. So I'm very excited because it's going to match the To Love and to Loathe cover. So I can have them on my shelf next to each other looking so beautiful and matchy. But yeah, I agree. The pink really does like stand out. It's pretty bright. So
I really do like the To Love and to Loathe color.
I do too. It's really pretty. They did a great job.
Sorry, dogs have decided to come up with full force. Like they're like, oh, you got a cat and there's a small child on that other one. Well, we're going to come up here and just be.
Well, that small child was told he wasn't allowed to make a single noise, and I hear single noises.
Well, I got sneezing, I got wheezing, I got all kinds of things happening. So I apologize.
Just adds extra interest to the recording.
Yes.
My dog is silent because my dog is. Wow. I got a quarantine dog, and we thought it was a dog shaped. It's dog shaped. It's probably not actually a dog. It doesn't bark. It just sits there.
Does it do anything?
Not really.
Sometimes it chews its feet. Tried to eat our cats. It did that.
I feel bad for all these quarantine dogs. They're gonna have like separation anxiety when everyone has real lives again.
She has no idea. Yeah, we finally took her to doggy daycare to get her used to the concept of other creatures in the world besides us. She was so tired. She was exhausted when she came back. It was,
I bet.
So yeah, she will never make a noise on film.
The best kind of dog.
I know. But
Yes.
So I really like this. I know where you were talking about the covers, the like the illustrated covers. I really like this one. I like it's them looking at each other with the frame. I think it's really artistically fun. I like to have it a Hoax, the original one too. But so yeah.
Yeah, I've been really lucky. I've loved all of my covers. I really like the British cover a lot. I've been sent recently it's getting published. Hoax is getting published in both France and Germany, though it's not out yet.
Ooh, that's awesome.
And they've sent me covers for those, and I find it fascinating just like seeing what works in different markets. So like the one for the German cover is like a photo. It's like a photo. It's like real people. It's like it's like shot from above, and it looks much more like. It looks less romancy to me and more like historical women's fiction-y kind of. Like in the US, I think that's how I would read. And the French one is illustrated and it's like super cute. I really like it. But it almost looks like, to me, like for a US market, I'm almost like, I think I would look at this and think it was a kid's book. Like it's so cartoony. It almost like looks like children's book-esque to me. It's like adorable. But I think it's so interesting. So I'm obviously like, these are fine. I don't care. Like I don't know anything about what sells in Germany. Like
right, yeah.
Put whatever cover on it you want. I'm just excited people in Germany can buy my book. But yeah, I think it's super interesting, all the different covers. So
it's got to be crazy to think about. Like your book is being printed in multiple languages, and like that's awesome.
Yeah.
And so so you wrote this one kind of right after it, and I guess like was it just an easier process? I guess because like again you connected with them so much that it sounds like it just kind of happened.
I still say that I don't think I'll ever have as much fun writing a book as I had writing To Have and to Hoax, because it's my first book, so there was like no pressure whatsoever. And it was the first time I tried writing a romance novel. So I was just having so much fun with it, kind of like making that realization that like this is a genre I want to write in. So I don't know that I had quite as much fun overall writing To Love and to Loathe as I did writing To Heaven to Hoax. But it was just like, it was an easy, I mean, no books are easy to write, but like relatively speaking, especially compared to the one I'm currently writing, which has been an like unparalleled nightmare from start to finish. Turns out writing during a pandemic, not great. It was not a hard book for me to write because both characters' voices just like came so naturally to me. And revising it, I was so worried because I like turned it into my editor right before To Heaven to Hoax came out. And so I was doing all the revisions on it during the pandemic, and I was just like not in a very good, like I was having a really hard time focusing on things. And it was after Hoax had come out. And so as I was doing the revisions, I was like, what if this one's not as funny? And like all the things that people like about Hoax, what if people don't like that about this one? So I was feeling very anxious through the whole revision process. And then I got to copy edits when I had to just like read the whole thing over again. And I was just had this moment, I was reading it and I was like, oh, I really like this. This is a really fun and I felt really good about it ever since. I've like have been feeling much less panic than I did my first one. So overall, it's been a very happy experience so far.
Now, it's super funny, and I really love the chemistry between the two of them, and just, again, that kind of witty banter that just carries through the book. They're so great together. And that's, one of the things that people don't think, when we talk about all this other stuff in pandemic is kind of the toll that it takes on creators, because basically all of your energy is just in existing. And so, like trying to create something and getting something created during this time, even, writing something new or, editing or whatever, takes a lot. So,
yeah, for me, it was really just the first couple months, like I was having a hard time reading. I was having a hard time just like focusing on things. I felt like my attention was getting, torn in like all these directions. And I feel like I've kind of gotten used to it at this point. But yeah, it was not great. I mean, I know like every writer I know has talked about how much difficulty they've had like writing throughout all this, but at a certain point it's like you have deadlines, you kind of have no choice. Or they're not going to pay you. You are contracted for books, like they expect you to turn in a book at some point. But yeah, so kind of learning. I'm like feeling I've been having a better time writing recently, and I'm like, well, this is great. And then I'm like, wow, I feel really sad that we've been in a pandemic long enough that I've been able to like adapt to it well enough to write.
Yeah, that's gosh. We're getting there. We're getting there though. I think we did this the last time. Like, what did we? We had like your elevator pitch, like your.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. We did like give us your elevator pitch and then tell us where to find you and where to find your book.
Yes.
Okay. So elevator pitch is a frenemies with benefits, frenemies to lovers romance set at a country house party that involves a man who has gotten unflattering feedback in the bedroom and a woman who has no problem giving him her honest opinion. And she's also bet him that he'll be married within a year. It's a lot going on. It all makes sense. It all ties together, I promise. Lots of banter, lots of hijinks, lots of sexy times, more than I intended, actually.
They have the hot for each other. Yeah.
I know. I wrote it and I was like, I think this will be about the same heat level as my first book. And then I was like, oh no, that's not what's happening.
They demand it, yes.
The plot, for plot reasons, like they have to get busy. So yes, if those are things that interest you, To Love and to Loathe comes out on April 6th.
Love it. And then we can find you on Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah,
and
Twitter and Instagram at Martha B. Waters. My website, marthawaters.com, full of fascinating information like I like gin cocktails. That's my bio. My website says that. Yes, and I do have a newsletter that I send out occasionally with updates, and there's a link to sign up to that on my website as well. So, yeah,
awesome. All right. Well, that was Martha Waters' second, but hopefully not last. I guess every March, we'll just check in.
Yeah. Oh, hey.
Like, how's it?
Year 12 of the plague still in your living room. Well, I'm releasing another book.
It's time for that Martha update.
Yeah.
No, it's always it was I know. Now I can be like, it's always a delight to talk to Martha.
Bodice Tipplers is part of the Frolic Network. Find more podcasts you'll love at frolic.media/podcast.